Ubuntu evolutionary souls, Ubuntu. Have you ever realized too late that something you thought was secure was already slipping through your fingers? I did. In 2020, I took the biggest leap of my life and bought a fourplex as an investment. Out of state for affordability. It was brand new, so I thought I wouldn't have a whole lot of construction or repair issues. I mean, it was a cash flowing machine that had been 100% rented since a month after I purchased it. I called it my legacy launch. This wasn't just real estate, it was a cornerstone of generational wealth I was determined to build. So, in the 5 years since, I had paid in about $120,000, through the mortgage and insurance and repairs and things like that. And then, just like that, it almost slipped through my fingers for a debt I didn't even know existed. 3 months ago, my property management office called me in a panic. They had just sent me a picture. Foreclosure notices posted on all four doors. Not a warning, not a this might happen, but this had already happened. And they were instructed that they should be paying rent to somebody else. I let out a blood curdling scream that I had never heard come from me before. You know, the kind you don't plan, the one that sort of rips from your gut, from your soul, when you feel everything you worked for had just died. For me, it was a death of dreams, a death of efforts, a death of my own identity because I thought I was smart. I thought I was doing all the right things. Death of $120,000, death of good credit. I had fought so hard to get enough money to make this investment. And here I was standing on the edge of losing everything, everything I thought would be mine forever. And all for what? $1,200 a year HOA fee that I didn't even know existed. See, the HOA had been sending all of the invoices and bills to someone else. I never knew I owed a dime. I think it was a scam, but it doesn't matter. That's a story for a different day. Because in that moment, I had to choose panic or fight. I mean, I started calling everyone. I couldn't even find the right HOA because it had a name very similar to a lot of other HOAs. And it was after 5, and I'm calling and leaving messages and calling, leaving messages. And it felt like I was just putting drops of water in the ocean. I was desperate for anybody to answer. So, fortunately, a very, very kind person who used to work for the HOA, not the right HOA, but an HOA with a similar name, answered the phone, calmed me down, told me that he too was an investor and that he would help me find the information I needed. So he gave me a call back and sent me a PDF of the deed documents, and my property had in fact been sold for $12,000. The property was worth half a million, and it was sold to someone else for $12,000. I was ready to cuss everybody out, including myself. I was angry. I told myself, okay, calm down. These people didn't do anything wrong. They were following a process that when I was thinking about investing, I was going to get into. But when I found out that these sort of liens in certain states have like a 90-day right to redemption period, I decided not to invest in that process. So fortunately, I did have 90 days to redeem the purchase, but that meant I had less than 90 days. I had about 45 days because at this point it was already 6 weeks after they had purchased it. And I had about 45 days to come up with $12,000, $12,038 to be exact, and send it to these people. But I did it. I did it because I was not ready to give up what I felt was mine. I had already embodied the mindset and the identity of a real estate investor, a real estate owner, someone who was setting down the roots of generational wealth for my nieces and nephews, and I wasn't ready to let that go. And some losses you just can't afford. And for me, it would have been a big loss to my identity. And I wasn't ready to let that go. So the experience taught me two things. One, complacency costs more than vigilance. I learned every hard question to ask regarding out of state investments, including hidden HOAs. I learned nothing is plug and play. You got to follow up, you got to check it out, you got to make the calls, you got to do the research. Number two, sometimes legacy requires a war cry and grace in the same breath. I had to fight, but I also had to humble myself and follow the process. So today I still own that fourplex. And every time I look at the rent deposits, I remember I almost lost it. But I didn't. If you are standing at the edge of losing something that matters to you, your dream, your identity, your investment, your belief in yourself, your legacy, don't you dare quit. There is a path back, even if it costs you more than you think you have to give. Fight for it. So I ask you, what are you willing to fight for? What part of your legacy feels too far gone, too impossible to redeem? I am living proof that even when the notices are nailed to the door, when the world says it's over, you still have a chance. Fight, rise, think, challenge, evolve. If this story hit home, if you are standing on the edge of your own it's over moment, drop a comment and say, I choose evolution. I am evolving. Because around here, we don't shrink to a life that no longer serves us. We rise, we fight, we evolve over everything. Your next level isn't waiting on perfect timing. It's waiting on you.